Alright, going to do a quick video here tonight. Um, Basically kind of a wrap-up video. I was out at the track tonight and struggled a little bit with my tune-up and was just getting confused, so I hope this kind of helps some people. And basically what was happening is the air fuel was a little bit lean, or I'm sorry, a little bit too rich when I'd get on the trans brake for any period of time. It initially come up on the trans brake clean and then was going too rich, and the car would just leave a little lazy. But what was weird is how I had the carburetor set up and how all the settings were. I knew from previous passes that everything should be perfect. So I was just confused from the fact of, man, I've made enough passes with this car that I know what I have right now should be working perfect. And it wasn't. It was just leaving lazy. 60 foot was only 137. So not terrible, but it's normally 125 to 127. So it's just a little bit lazy. Made a little bit of adjustment, took a little bit of fuel out of it. Same thing, 137, a little lazy. I knew it was tune-up related. The car was hooking well. Just couldn't quite figure it out. All right, scratching my head, check over everything. Don't see anything. Took 2 more jet sizes out, so nothing crazy. Actually got even worse. So I'm all right, I'm going to stop right here. So got to figure this out. And as I'm saying this, I'm thinking and I'm looking over everything, and I'll show you guys what I found. Kind of crazy. I've never had this happen. I'm sure there's a couple reasons for it, but what had actually happened is the main body screws came loose. If you watch, the entire carburetor is loose to the main body. The whole carburetor's jiggling around. There was our problem, and it actually blew the gasket out right there above that plug. So I'm going to pull the carburetor off here, change the gasket, and Loctite those screws. Never had that happen before, and I think part of the reason is this pipe kind of rattles on it a little bit. The other reason is just E85 likes to deteriorate gaskets. So I did check those screws 2 seasons ago, but I didn't check them this winter, and I should have. The other odd thing is that it didn't really idle high. Was absolutely a boost leak, was absolutely a vacuum leak, but this hood fits so tight, it actually crunches down here. I think that was part of the reason why it wasn't really idling high, is because it was naturally pinching that gasket a little bit. I bet if I would have started it with the hood open, it would have idled a little higher. But oddly enough, 2 weeks ago is when this problem started, and this is the first time I had the car out since. Some sloppy handwriting here. But 2 weeks ago I wrote, check vacuum leak, tighten manifold bolts. I did. I checked it, and I should have checked it a little further. So, my mistake, simple mistake. Thankfully, it didn't hurt anything, didn't cause any problems. But that could have been a costly mistake. So, I'm glad we found it. The car actually still ran pretty decent for a terrible 60 foot. But, yeah, and actually the other odd thing is I run the car on 20 pounds of boost, still made 20 pounds of boost. It was just on the starting line on the trans brake. It only made 7 to 8 where it normally makes 9 to 10. And then I actually commanded it to make 10 to 11, and it still only made 7. So the leak was starting to get worse and worse, but it was really affecting it when you're on the trans brake, where that turbo's going to be spooling at a much slower speed. That's where that leak really showed. Where once we went down track, it didn't really seem to care. And air fuel down track, oddly enough, was spot on. So that's good. Wasn't any crazy amount of a leak that was too much of an issue. But as you can see, that could have been pretty bad. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with it. And I'll tell you guys what it ran, because this is a car I kind of normally do no time stuff with. But I'm running a tune-up right now that I've been running, and it's not, well, I'm not going to say too much, but I'll tell you what it ran with this tune-up, and yeah, we'll go from there. Basically, it went 850 with that terrible 60 foot, and that's my 20-pound tune-up. So if the 60 foot was a little better, you guys can kind of figure out what that would be. But the bigger plans with this is to run it on like 25 pounds of boost. And yeah, well, I'm not sure what it's going to run at that. Honestly, I've never ran it at that boost level. That's what I'm set up to do this year. I normally like to keep the times on this car to myself, but more or less, I'm not running it at a level right now where I feel I have to, if that makes sense. If I start doing something crazy with it, I might be a little bit more top secret, quote unquote, but we'll see. I'm not as much into the no time stuff as I was, so I go back and forth. I think you can kind of hear it. But like I said, went 850 tonight with all the problems I was having. That's not bad. And really all that mattered was that terrible 60 foot. So get the 60 foot back where it should be, and this thing should be in the neighborhood of what I want. And I'll tell you what I'm looking for. I'm looking for an 830 on this 20-pound tune-up, and then we'll add some boost to it from there. But that's my goal, and honestly, I 100% think we would have had it tonight had we got this problem fixed a couple of weeks ago. But as many of you know that'll be watching this, that's drag racing. The simplest thing, man. I check over this car regularly. One little thing, that's all it takes. So remember, guys, check everything over, and I hope this helps some people. This is the first time I've ever experienced this. I've ran a ton of carburetors, so you know, you're always learning in this. So hopefully this helps you guys, and I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thanks.